Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got some big news today. Yep, Michigan has got so much going on that it's hard to even put it all in one video, but I'm going to try. First of all, let's talk about the president of Michigan.
And now to another major move at U of M, this time a shakeup in leadership. Santa Ono now becoming the shortest serving president in the school's history. Ono announcing he became the sole finalist for the same position at the University of Florida.
Yeah, and soon he will call the Sunshine State home. 7 News Detroit reporter Demetrios Sanders is speaking to people on campus about the announcement and getting their thoughts on what's next for the university.
Whether it's students at U of M or alumni, one thing's for certain, many were not expecting to see a change in the university's leadership after a brief 3 years.
Many on campus telling me they were caught off guard by the announcement.
Especially after graduation, he gave a speech and seemed pretty, excited into Michigan. And then the next day he said he was going to UF.
We did not expect it at all. He hasn't been here for a long time.
Yeah, Santa Ono put his finger up in the wind and kind of figured out this was a good time to get out of Michigan.
Run away! Run away!
Yes, he definitely ran away. Now, you would think that would be big news, right? I mean, the president leaving, especially given everything that happened with Harbaugh, the NCAA investigation looming over them, talks of lack of institutional control. It's been a mess. That's not the only news.
But wait! There's more!
Yeah, there's more.
The University of Michigan is expected to suspend football coach SHERRONE Moore for 2 games next season. According to CBS Sports, it's a self-imposed punishment for the alleged scouting scheme led by former staffer Connor STALIONS. According to the report, he won't be suspended for the first 2 games. It will be during weeks 3 and 4. According to ESPN, his suspension ties back with him allegedly deleting texts with STALIONS. A sign-stealing scandal is being investigated by the NCAA.
So, their president is gone. Their head coach is suspended for 2 games, which is becoming the norm up there. They have to go ahead and pre-suspend their coaches before every season. Harbaugh got suspended, 6 games in a season, 2 different violations. Now Moore's in there because he deleted text from one Connor STALIONS. Oh, they were just innocuous. They were nothing in there to be concerned about. He just didn't want anybody to give credit to Connor.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
Anyway, and of course, what they call this up in Michigan is a Tuesday. Now, for the rest of us, this is huge news. Santa Ono is the guy that, he was all about Jim Harbaugh. He's backing him 100%. Oh, yeah, we're going to give him a big, long contract. And oh, by the way, Ono had signed an 8-year extension to be president, and he runs off to Florida. Now, this thing with Moore, they have chosen the games that they want to miss, which is Central Michigan, which is ironic as can be, because their head coach had to step down. Also, their quarterback coach, because of the Connor STALIONS situation.
The sign stealer guy.
Who he couldn't remember if he was on the sideline or not. He had memorized 3,000 signs, according to Connor, but he couldn't remember if he put on Central Michigan shirt, hat, and his special little blue glasses that can possibly record every single play. He just couldn't remember. And he didn't think it was very fair that he got suspended or thrown off the team or resigned or whatever, because he was just playing a game.
But why? I didn't do anything wrong. I was just playing.
We said, come along.
Yeah, Connor wasn't very happy. Now, this is just some of what's going on in Michigan. What about Matt Weiss? He's been indicted on 24 federal charges for hacking computers, getting pictures and videos of things he shouldn't be watching. And they've got 5 class action lawsuits. At least that's a minimum. That's just since the last time I checked, of former players and players on other teams, mostly females, that are very unhappy about all their pictures and videos being hacked. And so Michigan and this Matt Weiss guy, who was an offensive coordinator up there until he got fired, is facing some serious, not only charges, but also these lawsuits, which are going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. Fortunately, Michigan's got big backers, and they're going to need every bit of it because this is going to be extremely expensive. Just the legal fees alone will be massive, but they're going to lose every one of these cases. They're going to have to settle them or they're going to lose them. So it is a total mess up there. And what got me so involved in the Michigan scandal with Connor Stalions and all that is that it became fairly apparent to me and many others that he had sent signs and signals to South Carolina back in 22 to derail the Volunteers from their playoff run, and also Clemson's.
Allegedly.
Now, a lot of people are talking about it's a conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. I have a mountain of evidence of this, and this was actually talked about in an article today on A to Z from Zach Reagan. I'll show you that here in a second, but the mountain of evidence it's substantial. It talks about a person with direct knowledge says that Michigan reached out to a team that could derail another team. I'll show you that. Beamer, of course, has a history of being fined for taking information. South Carolina had scored 16 points prior to the 2 games against Tennessee and Clemson, 16 points against Missouri and Florida, 1 touchdown, 3 field goals in 2 games. Against Tennessee, they scored 9 straight touchdowns. Yeah, 9 straight.
9 times.
9 times.
Then they beat Clemson at Clemson, scored like 31 points. So in those 2 games, they scored 94. So 16, and then against 2 playoff teams, they scored 94. Wonder if they had defensive signals. I wonder. And then after that, the next 9 games with the same coach, same quarterback, they went 2-7. Yeah, lost 7 out of 9 games.
You serious?
Finally beat Jacksonville State. Barely. And, oh, whoops, wait a minute. Suddenly they had these special wristbands that nobody could understand why South Carolina had these wristbands. And an ESPN journalist made a big deal out of it. Holly Rowe, she showed the wristband and was talking about how this is the first time all year they had these special wristbands. Then they didn't need them the next year against Tennessee. Now, you would think if you scored 9 straight touchdowns, that especially going to Neyland, you'd want those wristbands, wouldn't you? They didn't have them, didn't need them. That's weird, don't you think?
Yeah. Weird.
And here's where Zach Reagan talked about the conspiracy theory of Tennessee Vols going viral again for darn good reason. Talks about how Stalions, of course, was accused of all these different things. And then it talks about the South Carolina Gamecock game in 2022. And here in the article, it talks about how Connor Stalions had bought a ticket to the Tennessee game versus Kentucky and then transferred it to a person who attended the game and, of course, scouted the game. He also bought tickets to Georgia, Bama, Clemson, and 2 other SEC teams.
Oh, well, there's strikes 2 and 3 right there.
There was a connection between Michigan coaching staff and the South Carolina coaching staff. They had a defensive coordinator who previously worked under Jim Harbaugh. And Football Scoop reported that a person with direct knowledge, actually, I've got that. That was right here. It says, moreover, a source with direct knowledge indicated to Football Scoop that Michigan may have attempted to assist the opposition of a potential college football playoff opponent in an effort to disrupt that team's potential path to the playoff.
Oh, hell no!
And then it talked about Shane Beamer being fined. I've got that as well. That was right here where he got fined $25,000 for accepting information he should not have accepted on another team. It was called the Wake Forest leak scandal. And then Beamer said, when we play opponents that we don't play again, they usually try and connect with those coaches, said Beamer in 2022. See what you had on us and what we had on you, non-conference teams. So they like to communicate with other coaches and other teams that maybe could help them out. Said some of the communication that we had with some coaches from other schools alerted us some tendencies that we had. Says Beamer's comments about sharing information aren't necessarily damning, but it's evidence that he speaks often with other programs about tendencies in order to gain an advantage. And then, of course, Stallion talked about that on Bussin' with the Boys. And I showed y'all that video clip where he said, hey, we share information all the time with teams that could help knock other teams out of the way of our path to the playoff. And back then there was only 4 teams, so Michigan had a very weak schedule that year, and Tennessee had 1 loss, Clemson had 1 loss. They had a much tougher schedule. Clemson had an out-of-conference victory that was significant, and Tennessee had beaten Alabama, LSU at LSU, and Florida, and were ranked number 1 at one time with the exception of the 1 loss to Georgia. So if Michigan would have lost to Ohio State, they'd have been out, and we'd have been in, or Clemson would have been in. So they needed Tennessee and Clemson to lose for an insurance policy in case they lost to Ohio State to still get into the playoff, because they would have only had 1 loss. Well, what's the easiest way to knock those two teams out? There was one team that was playing both. What was that team? South Carolina. Actually, it looks like he included that clip.
2021, we lose to Michigan State. Kenneth Walker had a great game.
Played fantastic.
Yep. And we needed some help, right? They had to lose twice, and we had to
Who
win
had to
out.
lose twice again?
Michigan State had to lose twice, and then that would have resulted in having a three-way tie. Or no, we would have beaten Ohio State, and then it would have just been us and Ohio State, because then Michigan State would not have been in that three-way tie. And they lost to Purdue. And then I think it was the next week they played Ohio State, the week before we played Ohio State. And so we needed Ohio State to win. So I gave Michigan State signals to a buddy of mine and said, hey, I changed all the logos. I made it look like it came from a different school. Because I don't want to give Ohio State something from Michigan, right? They might not use it. Who knows? But we need Ohio State to win. And I know they steal the crap out of defensive signals. So here you go. So I gave it to a buddy who may have given it to a buddy who then gave it to Ohio State and said,
Classic game of telephone.
Yep, I got this from so-and-so at, name your school university. And, so they got, I'm sure they probably already had them, but it just confirmed everything. But, yeah.
So, yeah, he likes to do that sort of thing, obviously. Now, I don't know if that's 100% accurate. I'm sure the Ohio State fans would totally disagree with it. But, look, he's sitting there bragging about trying to derail teams in their way and causing losses. So he has no – as a matter of fact, he's proud of it. That's also why he's not on a team anymore and why he's been hit with show causes and everything else. I don't know how bad the show cause he's going to get hit with this most recent thing, the sign stealing. It'll probably be for 10 years or maybe life. It's hard to say. Probably the same thing Jim Harbaugh will get, because Harbaugh saw the handwriting on the wall. He realized he was going to get absolutely hammered. So he ignored the contract that was on his desk that was put there by Ono and, of course, athletic director Ward, and took off to the NFL.
Brave Sir Robin ran away. No! Bravely ran away. I didn't.
Oh, yeah. He tucked his tail and went for the money. So whether we ever find out about the South Carolina connection with Michigan, definitively, somebody'd have to come out and just admit it, which is not going to, I don't see Beamer or anybody along those lines doing that. And I don't even know if Beamer would have been directly involved. He may have been just looking the other way. I mean, who would risk a $6 or $7 million salary that he makes every year there over that?
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
And he was also on the hot seat at that time. They were playing very poorly, and he was under a lot of pressure. He needed to win. So getting some information on two teams that could cause you to score 9 straight touchdowns when you couldn't score but 1 touchdown in 2 games, all of a sudden you can't miss. It's amazing what can be done if you've got the defensive signals and you know what play they're in. It's just amazing what you can do. Beat 2 playoff-bound teams, then couldn't win a game after that, 2-7. Very interesting. But Moore is out for 2 games, and he got to hand pick the 2 games that he wanted to suspend himself for. It's going to be way worse than that. They're going to get hit hard on this, and it's only a matter of time at this point when the NCAA comes out. Obviously, they're trying to get ahead of this and go ahead and sort of do some pre-penalties. I think this is going to be ugly. I don't know how they're going to hold on to that NCAA championship. It's going to be very difficult. They may have to vacate it. Maybe not. I think that's 50-50. But Connor, look, they were a different team. When Connor showed up, they were winning 67% of their ball games. Once he showed up, they were winning 90% of their ball games, and they won a natty. It makes a huge difference when you've got the signs and signals. That's my opinion. You may disagree, but there's a reason why the NCAA is going crazy over it. So anyway, it's a Tuesday in Michigan. The president resigns and leaves for Florida. Their head coach goes ahead and pre-suspends himself, which that's very normal up there now. Jim Harbaugh's gone. Matt Weiss is facing 24 charges and indicted. They've got 5 lawsuits against him, probably more coming. But other than that, it's a great day in Michigan. Y'all need to I wish Michigan would just cooperate with NCAA, get all this over with, get your penalties and fines. It's not going to be nearly as bad as it would be 10 years ago, and move the heck on and quit fighting this. Tennessee did that with Jeremy Pruitt. We took our medicine. lost 25 scholarships, paid an $8 million fine, had a 2-year cloud over us, and we finally dealt with it. And now it's pretty much behind us. We still have a few scholarships we got to give up, but it's better to do that than to sit here and fight the whole time when everybody can see what you did. I would like to see Michigan do the right thing here, admit the fault, take their penalties, and move on. They can be a heck of a university and a heck of a football program, but nobody's going to respect them as long as they're doing this crap.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
So anyway, did want to bring you this content. Some of you will like this, some of you won't. But if you like this type of content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know continue to cover all these big college sports stories. You know I will. And right over here is the subscribe button. Hit that little button right there. Will help you get my videos. Won't cost you a dime. And right over here is the most recent video, YouTube. Thanks, you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk J. Jeez.
Murdoch. I'm coming to get you.